Trapped in dangerous homes they cannot sell, cannot repair and cannot afford to insure. The residents of the cladding crisis.
I'm really stuck and I'm really, suffering, mentally, emotionally, financially. I have nightmares sometimes. I wake up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and I say, God, where am I, I don't know where I'm going, what I'm going to do. The worrying thing is I may be homeless.
Just how many buildings are still unsafe and how many owners are being forced to bear the cost. Also tonight, Myanmar is under military control after the generals stage a coup. We asked the UN Special Envoy what can be done. Hello, good evening. The cladding scandal of 2017 is now, it would appear, the cladding scandal of 2021. Anyone assuming the tragedy at Grenfell would lead to a wholesale stripping of these flammable materials from people's homes is still waiting to see that happen. Today, in a Commons vote, Labour pushed the government to reveal the extent of the problem, fund the removal of the cladding and make sure the owners were not being charged extortionate costs for fixing their unsafe and unsellable houses. Our political editor, Nick Watt, is here to remind us, Nick, first, what this is all about.
Well, Boris Johnson said last week that the government will be making an announcement on how this is going to move this forward very shortly. And it looks to me, I'm told, that the government is prepared quite soon to put substantial extra sums on the table. It could possibly run into the billions. Now, I'm told that this will involve the taxpayer making a contribution. It's not yet done. It's still being discussed by number 10 and number 11 Downing Street. And the reason for that is it is not easy. Now, Christopher Pincher, who's the housing minister, he said in the House of Commons today, look, there are no quick fixes on this solution. He says it's highly complex because it involves many parties, leaseholders, developers, insurance industry and mortgage lenders. But I'm told that the government does want to have a lasting solution to this crisis, which, as you say, has left thousands of people in unsellable homes. It looks like the government wants to move reasonably soon. I think we're talking about weeks rather than days. But what they do need to do is they do need to come up with an announcement before the fire safety bill comes back from the House of Lords, because if they don't do that, there will be a Conservative rebellion and they will put these measures into the building safety bill, and that has to be wrapped up before the end of this current parliamentary session, which is in May. So look, we had that terrible tragedy at Grenfell Tower just after the general election in 2017, and that has led to massive financial difficulties, and that is what I've been looking at today.
Your home is supposed to be your safe haven, where you can shut the door behind you and leave your worries outside. That doesn't apply to us anymore.
I have nightmares sometimes. I wake up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and I say, God, where am I, I don't know where I'm going, what I'm going to do. The worrying thing is I may be homeless.
The human toll of living in a blighted home. Nearly 4 years on from the Grenfell tragedy, and hundreds of thousands of people are marooned in unsellable properties. It was combustible exterior cladding on Grenfell Tower that allowed the flames to spread, leading to 72 deaths. But flats up and down the country are still wrapped in potentially combustible cladding. There are reportedly 700,000 people in homes seen as dangerous, and as many as 3 million people in flats they cannot sell. The government says that all high-rise social housing with unsafe Grenfell cladding, that is aluminium composite material, has been or is in the process of having its cladding replaced. There is also a £1.6 billion fund to replace that cladding or other unsafe cladding in leasehold properties over 18 metres. The cladding here in East London is not the same as that used in Grenfell, and the developers Barratt say they followed all regulations at the time of construction. But residents say that crippling bills for repair will fall on their shoulders.
I don't feel safe putting my son to sleep in my flat at night. You know, we could have a fire go off at any time and we are not protected. And then we have the financial worry on a monthly basis because it's almost impossible to keep up with the service charge increases. On top of that, you have the end bill, which we know is coming because the buildings can't be fixed unless the money is put up.
I can't move because it's worthless. Nobody wants to buy a place like this, you know. So what do I do? I have to just sit out and wait, you know, for someone, the government, someone, Barratt, you know, to do all the remedial works.
The devastating impact of never-ending costs to remain in a home you cannot sell is being heard loud and clear across our political system. The government says it is listening and it is acting. Labour says it's not moving far or fast enough.
I think 3.5 years after Grenfell, most people would assume that the cladding issue had been sorted out and that nobody's living in unsafe accommodation. That's not the case here and for millions of other people.
The concerns were voiced by backbench Conservative MPs during a House of Commons debate called by Labour.
Bob Blackman.
3.5 years after the Grenfell tragedy, we are in a position whereby we still now have leaseholders living in unsaleable, unmortgageable, uninsurable, unsafe properties. And that is a disgrace that we have to put right.
We have to be very clear that leaseholders do not have to pay. The government has to provide a safety net. It has to step in and it has to help leaseholders through this area.
The government says it has always taken the issue seriously.
And no one should ever feel unsafe in high-rise homes as a result of contractor error or malpractice. That is what the government is determined to achieve. And we've taken concrete steps not only to hold those responsible to account, but also to fix problems that have come to light as effectively and as quickly as we can.
One of Britain's greatest peacetime disasters is still casting a shadow as anxious homeowners look for help. The government says it is closing in on a lasting solution.
Nick, what there? Well, Barratt Homes, who developed the property seen in that piece, told Newsnight the building was signed off by an independent approved inspector as meeting the requirements of building regulations at the time of construction in 2003. We're sorry to hear of all the difficulties facing leaseholders. We have a meeting arranged with them this week.